First on Radio 4, Profile. As the singer Adele takes her place in the record books, the BBC's entertainment reporter Colin Paterson traces her extraordinary rise.
The record industry is in free fall. Over the last 7 years, album sales in the UK have shrunk by a massive 26%. In the US, the situation's far worse. In a decade, there's been a 60% drop. No one seems to have told Adele, though. Her second album, 21, is selling around the world in quantities that experts thought would never be achieved again. No one is more surprised than Adele herself.
Oh my God, honestly, I do not know where it went from being good to being, spectacular. I don't know where that happened. I don't know what, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting an eighth of what's been going on. Don't, because I'll start crying again.
Adele is back at the top and the UK's number one.
I heard that you settled down.
This weekend, Adele will spend her 10th consecutive week at the top of the UK albums chart, the longest run ever by a female, overtaking Madonna and equalling the all-time record for any solo act set in 1968 by Bob Dylan. Soon, 1 in 10 households in the UK will own a copy of her album. So how at the age of 22 has this North London-born girl become such a phenomenon, both selling and breaking records?
I honestly think that people were really bored of the stereotypical music they were hearing on the radio. She's the complete antithesis of that. She's pop without conforming to any of the things that I think make pop pop.
She sings with heart and passion and soul and feeling. She's a regular girl with this amazing voice. That's what people love about her.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you.
Adele was born Adele Laurie Blue Adkins in 1988. Her mum was just 18. Her Welsh father is described as never having been part of the picture. Adele was bold, brassy and full of heart, setting her sights on a music career from the start. Her mum used to arrange all the lamps in the house to form a spotlight, in which Adele would sing to family friends. Even a medical ailment was turned into a tribute to one of her musical heroes, the pop soul singer Gabrielle.
You know, she used to wear an eye patch and I had conjunctivitis in my eye. So I went to go and get some drops for my eye with my mum and I saw an eye patch and convinced my mum to buy me this eye patch. And then I even further convinced her to put some sequins onto it. 5-year-old little white girl, but tried to look like Gabrielle. Wore it to school and just got dismissed by everyone. So I took it off quite quickly.
At just 13, she auditioned for the Brit School in Croydon, the country's only free state-funded performing arts school, whose alumni include Amy Winehouse and Leona Lewis. Cherie Dubois was one of her classmates and clearly recalls that Adele never lacked presence.
She was really cool. She was kind of laid back, indie, kind of quirky dressed. She looked like a true musician. She speaks her mind. She doesn't sugarcoat anything for anyone, but she was quite polite at the same time. She had manners. But yeah, she was quite a character. She would definitely make you laugh.
She was already a very able singer.
Musical director Liz Penny remembers her well.
Her drive to be a songwriter was evident quite early on in her time with us. We'd often see her outside in the corridor writing lyrics, picking up the guitar and learning to accompany herself. One of the gigs that she organised was in combination with her 18th birthday. So she'd officially left school and her 18th birthday party was a gig in a pub, and Adele performed a number of her own songs, one of which I think went on to be on her first album.
Those songs were uploaded by a friend onto the social networking site MySpace. This was May 2006, the month Adele graduated from the Brit School. Within a matter of weeks, she was attracting record company interest. Nick Huggett was an A&R manager at XL Recordings, an independent label known for being home to an eclectic roster of acts, including The White Stripes, MIA and The Prodigy. From the outside, a graduate of the Brit School looked like a major departure.
I was in Barcelona with Dizzy Rascal and a scout had sent me a link to her MySpace where she had 3 songs. Just heard a really amazing voice and just thought, wow, there's something special about this girl, and sort of wanted to investigate her further. I think the first time I saw her perform a gig was in Brixton, just her and a guitar. Kind of small pub venue with a sort of back room. That felt really special. I just kind of thought, well, she's got a great voice, some great songs, let's just sign her and get on with it.
One of Adele's favourite musicians at the time was the heavily touted Jack Pignatti. They now shared a record label and a manager, and soon became friends, staying up all night talking and attending each other's gigs. Even this weekend, Jack is in Spain to watch her play. He explained on the phone that for him, Adele's success is largely down to the honesty of the lyrics and the theme of heartbreak.
There's utter truth in them and a simplicity which is incredibly hard, actually. And to understand these situations which are so universal, there's a quality in her which is fragile. To hear someone sing in that state and also kind of defeat it in lots of ways by being able to sing about it, it makes you as a listener empathise and fall in love with the singer.
And that vulnerability could be seen when she made her TV debut in June 2007 on the hugely influential Later with Jules Holland, a show Adele and her mum used to stay in and watch together every Friday night.
Making her TV debut, we welcome Adele.
Series producer Alison Howe booked her after being handed a demo before Adele had even released anything. It was a risk, but centre stage, with an acoustic performance of her own song Daydreamer, her lack of polish turned out to be an asset.
We got a performance from her that was simple and almost naive. If you watch the performance, you can see her trembling, I think, at times. She was fantastically nervous at the opportunity and the presence of the other artists such as Bjork and Paul McCartney who were on with her. You can sense her nervousness about what she was about to do, and the performance is all the better for it.
Adele has never been shy about declaring her love of contemporary chart music. She may list Etta James and Ella Fitzgerald as major influences, but her ultimate music heroes were the Spice Girls.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really want.
Melanie Chisholm, Sporty Spice back in the day, believes that Adele's appreciation of pure pop has contributed to the sheer scale of her success.
I wanna really wanna zig ah.
There is a pop sensibility in her melodies and lyrically, and you can hear that. And if we inspired her in any way, then I know myself and all the other Spice Girls are very proud.
How important to her success do you think it is that she has this appreciation of pop music?
Yeah, I think it's really important because I think it makes her music very accessible. You know, she is so bluesy and soully, you know, she has such an incredibly mature voice, but there's something about the pop aspect of her work that makes it accessible to so many people.
By now, everything was happening in a rush for Adele. It was announced that she would win a Brit before her album was even out, the inaugural Critics' Choice Award, predicting who would be big the following year. By the time of the ceremony in February 2008, it had proven to be a good choice because 2 weeks earlier, her debut album, 19, had gone straight in at number 1. And all this had been achieved without any compromising when it came to her image. As the editor-in-chief of Q magazine, Paul Rees explains.
Adele has been very, very smart thus far, and the people around her and the people who look after her have been very smart in the way that they've handled this level of success, because it's a dangerous place to be in that sort of white-hot spotlight. I think the things that they've done that have been really smart is she doesn't do lots and lots of interviews and press. She really does ration it very, very carefully. So I think there's that sense that she's not overexposed in that sense. She's unapologetically herself. She's not some waif-like performer, and she doesn't pretend to be. It's good to see a performer and an artist who is, in that sense, normal. There's not that sense of something that's been sculpted and something that's unattainable. It's very, very refreshing.
And Mel C agrees.
It takes an incredibly talented artist to be able to break through if they don't look what is perceived to be the way you have to look to be successful in the world today. So, you know, that's all credit to her. She doesn't have to compete with all the other girls who maybe have to look a certain way because they're lacking in other areas.
And as well as not compromising on issues of how she looks, Adele also insists on control over all aspects of her career.
I have the final word on everything. I go to the most boring strategy meetings and rubbish stuff like that. Because, you know, the more successful you do get, the more people do work with you. And I'd hate for someone to come up and be like, hi, I work with you. Oh, What do you do? I like to be really involved in everything, and I like everyone to feel really involved in everything. So yeah, I'm over-involved in everything. I think I annoy people.
But despite all the planning, sometimes luck plays a huge part. For example, Adele's launch in the US. She was booked to appear on the US TV show Saturday Night Live. Coincidentally, also on the bill was the then US vice presidential candidate, Sarah Palin. The show achieved its highest ratings for 14 years. Adele's manager, Jonathan Dickens, was there that night, and he says the effect on Adele's sales was immediate.
It was really weird. She did the songs and it was great. Went back to the hotel, went to bed, and the album was at number 40 on the iTunes. That was at like midnight, New York time. I got up at maybe 6 a.m. to get a plane back to London, and the album was suddenly at 8. And that was like, wow. So you've gone from 40 to 8, that's pretty incredible. I then got off the plane, and got home, and the album was at 1. So, yeah, that was huge, absolutely huge.
The following year, the US record industry acknowledged her achievements with 2 Grammys, including Best New Artist. The Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, sent Adele a congratulatory letter, saying that with all the troubles the country was in financially, she was a light at the end of the tunnel. However, all this was merely the warm-up for what was to follow when her second album, 21, was released in January of this year. 21 sold more than 200,000 copies in its first week, going straight to number 1 and staying there. And staying there, week after week. This was despite Adele only doing 3 UK TV performances to promote the album. Ben Beardsworth is the managing director of her record company, XL.
When she does TV, it tends to be such an extraordinary performance that people viewing it tell their mates about it, post it on Facebook, tweet about it. The effect gets amplified massively beyond the audience at home on TV, and it's sort of spreading by word of mouth. I think a big part of the success of this album has been word of mouth and the internet. You'd think it was all down to airplay, but it's at least as much down to word of mouth.
Oh, friend, why you so shy?
The performance of the album track, Someone Like You, at the Brit Awards caused the song to leap up the charts from 47 to number 1 just 5 days later. Adele has the biggest selling album in the world this year, but Q Magazine's Paul Rees has a word of caution.
It's very, very easy to forget that she is only 22. I think the dangers of this level of success are really, really obvious, and the precedents are many. In the modern age, the turnover of people is so quick. It is like a machine that picks people up and chews them out. I would suspect as time goes on, the record sales won't be as big in 5 years, 10 years' time, but I think she will have a career that's a long-standing one because she's good enough to do that.
But those close to her believe this could just be the start.
Adele's music could be from 1970 or 2020. What I mean by that is it's not defined by a fashion or a trend or a particular, voguish sound. It's just classic. What I think everyone loves, which is a great voice and a great song. I think you'll be hearing about this girl for a long, long time yet.
This week's Profile was presented by the BBC's entertainment reporter Colin Paterson and produced in Manchester by Gail Champion. Now, let's take a look ahead to 8 o'clock.